Welcome to this video guide on how to make some muddy bases for your miniatures. In this video, I will show you how to make your own texture paste, utilize additional Scenics, as well as show you some more traditional techniques like base coating, washes, and dry brushing. In your pack, you should have the following: a mixing cup and mixing stick, a shade brush, a fluffy brush, a detail brush, some paints, a pouch of gypsum plaster powder, some grass tufts and rocks, and a number key with digital guide links on the back. Some materials you may need but are not included in your pack: superglue, kitchen roll, a cup of water, some tweezers, and a hairdryer. I also recommend taking a look at some reference images before you start, so you have an idea on how you want it to look. There are some reference images in the PDF, but you are of course welcome to find some of your own. To start, we are going to make some texture paste. Plaster powder is irritating to the lungs, so for safety, I strongly recommend this step to be completed by a responsible adult. Place half of your pouch of gypsum plaster powder into your mixing cup with a very small amount of water, and with your mixing stick, stir it into a thick paste. If it's too runny, you can add more powder, and if it's too thick, you can add another drop of water. Once you are happy with the consistency, you can then start smearing it all over the base with your mixing stick. Because it's quite thick, it can be tricky to move around. You can smear it by wiping it on the edge of the base and then gently nudging it around into the right place. And you can also pat it to make it more textured. Once each base is covered, you can clean up the edges with your finger if wearing gloves, a tissue, or even an old brush. Leave to dry completely before moving on to the next step. You can also use a hairdryer to speed things up. Once dry, take your shade brush and paint the whole base with German black-brown using your number sheet to help you. This will make the texture paste start to look like earth. Don't worry about being neat at this stage. Leave to dry completely before moving on to the next step. You can use a hairdryer to speed things up. Next, you can start adding Scenics to help bring the base to life. The grass tufts included do have some sticky pads on the bottom. However, I would still recommend using some superglue as they can very quickly lose their stickiness and fall off. I also recommend using some tweezers if you have some for more accuracy and preventing sticky fingers. Due to age restriction laws on selling solvents in the UK, superglue is sold separately and not included in your pack. You can also stick some rocks down if you wish. Wait for the glue to fully set and dry before moving on to the next step. Now you could leave it there, but here is how you can enhance the features to make it look more dynamic and pop against the tabletop. With your shade brush, cover the whole base, including the tuft and rocks, with Umber wash. Don't be afraid to use a lot, as any pooling will make it look puddle-like and squelchy. Wait for this layer to fully dry before moving on to the next step. You can use a hairdryer to speed things up. Next, you can try some dry brushing. To do this, take a tiny amount of orange-brown with your fluffy brush, scrubbing most of it off on some kitchen roll, and flick your brush back and forth all over the base. Afterwards, we can dry brush on top with pale flesh, using the same method as before, using a very small amount of paint, scrubbing most of it off, and flicking it all over the base. The only thing is to try and use less pressure this time, as we don't want it to be too strong. Once that's done, the final step is going back in with German black-brown and carefully painting the rim to clean up all the edges and make it look really seamless. You might need to thin your paints for this. I recommend using some damp kitchen roll and adding some water to thin it down as needed. And there you have it, a completed set of 5 muddy bases which can be used for any miniature you like. I hope this tutorial was useful, and don't forget to check out my other products and work at blackrabbitcreative.co.uk.